Hi, and welcome back to the Hidden Pulse with Cissy. That's me, where we bring you the stories, the insights, the voices shaping the future of dental and medical industry. The Hidden Pulse brings people together from all walks of the healthcare industry, including all of our teams from the front office, clinical teams, back office, RCM teams, industry partners, physicians, CEOs, and everyone else. I am so thrilled to have my guest, Taya Gordon, on the show. Her bio is absolutely amazing. But beyond that, she is a kind, funny, and incredibly passionate RCM leader. When Taya talks about RCM, she's just as enthusiastic as I am, and that's saying something, y'all. Taya is the CEO of Atlas and Perpetua Healthcare Consulting, one of the top RCM and operations consulting firms in healthcare. As if that weren't impressive enough, she has authored several books on RCM operations for the MGMA. She's a keynote speaker at major industry conferences, including the MGMA, and serves as a professor at Howard University, where she prepares future physicians and leaders to enter the healthcare workforce with a strong foundation in operations and revenue cycle management. On top of this, Tay is incredibly involved in shaping healthcare policy to improve the experience for both the patient and providers. And one of her favorite sayings perfectly captures her outlook. It is a great time to be in healthcare if you're up for the change and for the challenge. We've had so much fun on the podcast. Taya shares her ventures, lessons learned, thoughts on AI, and even her fangirl admiration for Epic's CEO, Judy Faulkner, along with her views on how Judy is driving a meaningful change around interoperability in healthcare. This show is one of my favorites so far. We get so excited. We talk over each other. We go off on tangents. We do a lot of things. And prior to recording this show, we spent almost an hour and a half talking just about RCM. I mean, who does that, right? So I'm excited to have her on the show. You're going to have a whole lot of fun listening to her as well. I am your host, Cissy Mangrum, co-founder and chief revenue officer at RevTech Partners and Maximize RCM Consulting, where we operationalize your KPIs, transform your RCM challenges into opportunities through technology, knowledge, education, and processes. This is the Hidden Pulse with Cissy, where every story is a pulse and every pulse is a testament to the human spirit. So let's sit back, get a cup of coffee, tea, or whatever you would like to drink, and join us on this amazing adventure with the podcast with Taya Gordon. Hi, and welcome to the Hidden Pulse with Cissy. I would love to introduce you to Taya. And she is someone I met a few years ago at an MGMA conference, and she's a rev cycle guru like me. And we've kind of hit it off, and we've been friends on LinkedIn for a while. And then when I said I was doing this podcast, she got real excited, and I got excited. And then I was like, I'm going to ask Taya. And then she said yes. And so now we're doing it. Taya, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Gosh, what a wonderful intro. I don't know that I can even match that level of energy, but I feel more excited just listening to that intro. That was awesome. I'm super excited to be here. Yes, I had such a blast meeting you the first time. And a little bit about me. Geez, I'm probably have an unhealthy obsession with revenue cycle management. I've worked in healthcare for a long time now, and I've written 2 books for MGMA on Rev Cycle. I teach it at Howard University, and I've written 2 national certificate courses in revenue cycle mastery. And so now I just manage my consulting firm, and we just do a bunch of healthcare consulting. You can probably guess around what topic, because I have an unhealthy obsession with the revenue cycle, which is why you and I get along so well.
Well, it's funny because those of the people that will watch this, right? They're going to go, there's another person is obsessed with rev
There's
cycle?
another one.
Who is this person? We need to talk to the 2 of them. This is crazy. See, I told people there were other people like us.
There are. There's just not a lot of us.
There's not really a lot of us.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when
and you remember this, it was very siloed, right? It used to be operations,
Yeah.
and it used to be billing, and it used to be a director of billing office, right? Or CBO or something
Yeah.
like that, right? And then what was it, like mid 2000s is when us operators started getting into rev cycle, and they were like, well, we can't be billing people. We're not billing people.
We need a
We're
different cool
operating.
name.
And they was like, wait a minute, it's revenue cycle for the whole thing. And
Yeah.
then born RCM.
Which thank goodness it was, so that we had something to get obsessed with
Yeah.
immediately. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this from my perspective, being in operations for as many years as I was in operations, yes, it was fun and it was exciting, but I will never miss the 3 a.m. phone call from the doctor asking me about his schedule the next morning.
Or taking the paper schedules home in case there was a snowstorm and you had to call them all, and then
Oh,
the
yes.
patient had your cell phone number or your home phone number, and yeah, I don't miss that at all.
The doctor at 7 o'clock at night just wants to call and talk about how his day was and how the schedule wasn't right, and how his on-call schedule, and he doesn't want to call the other doctor to be
Oh,
off. So he wants me to call the other doctor so that they could fix their on-call schedule. I don't miss any of that.
I don't either. I really enjoy just, let me go look at the data and fix all the problems so that you get paid more. Like, let's just do that part.
Yeah. And did you know, and the rev cycle too, what's really cool about rev cycle is because it is operations. So we like to fix things.
100% of the time, yes. We are
Okay, I know we're supposed to be getting into some of the questions, with the hidden pulse, because everybody kind of has gotten the questions down. Everybody's probably looking and excited about what the question, but I have to ask you, what's your favorite thing? There's always one in rev cycle operations, and the operations side of rev cycle, not the data side. We love data.
We do. We do love the
But
data.
what's the favorite thing you do that you enjoy fixing and making the biggest impact?
Man, I think the biggest thing is probably educating, doing like comprehensive education to the front desk and fixing communication relations between them and billing. So it's not uncommon for me to go into an organization and make billing and the front desk shadow each other like immediately.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing that happens when you do that is then the front desk is like, I had no idea I was causing so many problems for the billing department. And the billing department's like, I had no idea the front desk is a combat position. So they learn so much, and it's just fantastic.
It is because that light bulb goes off because you have that person that's doing the AR follow up, right?
Yes.
And they're in a silent area, or they might have their music or jazz or their rock music going, and
Mhm.
they're working the claims and fixing the claims and calling the payers and doing whatever.
Yes.
No interaction with anybody else, typically just doing their thing. And then you have, the person who is literally checking in patients, and then got a doctor standing behind them saying, what's going on with my schedule? And you got a patient over here saying, I don't want to pay that bill. You got another patient that's like, I need this schedule right now. And then you have a line of sick people,
Mhm.
and they're all trying to juggle. It's like the master
Yeah.
of multitask.
Oh, because the phone's ringing. Don't forget the fax
Oh my
machine.
gosh, don't forget the phone and the one that's on hold and
Yes.
getting
And the
frustrated
culvert's on
to get up.
hold.
And then the AR specialist is wondering, why are they always getting this wrong?
Yeah.
It's not that simple. I
Yeah.
mean,
And they're like, they picked the wrong plan again. How come they
how
can't do
hard
this?
is it?
Yeah.
Just Blue Cross Blue Shield. Just pick the right plan.
Yeah.
Then you put them in the chair and they go, okay, yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah. Oh, they back up totally. They're like, you know what? Never mind.
Empathy is here now.
Yeah.
Empathy is 100%.
And so it like creates empathy on both sides of the fence because the front desk is like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that I was causing so many problems, you know?
Yeah.
And the billing department's like, please never take me back out of the basement again, because why do we shove the billing department into the basement like everywhere?
Why is that? Because I have also noticed.
Right? They're
Why
the
do
only
they put
people
the
that,
closet area?
yeah, they'll be stuck on the phone for like 4 hours. Let them look out a window.
I've noticed that. I think almost every, like in medical, like wherever the hospital billing department is, always in the basement.
Always in the
Like,
basement.
no windows.
No, you've got like storage, the morgue, and billing. Why is that? Why is that?
So true. And even in practices, they're all bunched up in a small little room.
Yeah. They just
You're like,
have them like
"Oh, stop."
smashed away somewhere. Like, don't talk to us. Go get as much money as you can for us, no matter what
Just
trouble we
go,
cause.
be by yourself. Put your earplugs on and
Sure.
be by yourself. Well, I remember when, and this is, everybody talks about remote work, right?
Mhm.
Now it's more common and blah, blah, blah. But back in the day, being remote was not a common thing. And
No, and it was
I
super judged.
I remember it really becoming more common in the early 2000s where they were like sending them home, and then everybody from a billing perspective, from the back end RCM process perspective, everything got better because people were more productive because they weren't being interrupted,
We're being interrupted 1,000 times a day.
because they were crammed in little teeny tiny rooms.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And if they had me
Shouting
as,
over each other
they
to
were
be heard
talking
on the
to me.
phone.
'Cause,
Yeah.
because we're talking. It's like, hey, what's going on? Let's walk this through. Let's talk through this process. And it's like, Sissy, go back to your office. It's a small space, Sissy. It's a small space.
A small space and the basement, it's concrete walls.
And then they would go up, right? And they're talking and they're sitting down. Sometimes I would have the AR specialists, the coders.
Yes.
I enjoyed bringing coders out with the doctors, and especially surgical coders.
Yes.
And if the doctor was willing, and most of the time they were, and if the coder was willing, they could go and watch surgery and really understand what it was that they were coding, right?
Yeah, which is so huge.
Which is
It's so huge.
so huge. And then you have the coder who passes out. They're like, this is the reason why I don't.
This is the reason why I'm not
I
done.
would like to be in my little cubby hole
Yeah.
just coding. But it brings a perspective, especially when a coder meets the doctors that they're coding for, especially if you're in a large clinic, right?
Yeah. Sometimes
Oh,
you've
God.
never met them. And not only that, but it helps change the dynamic so that they can have the conversations that improve. Kind of like when you see systemic coding errors and you're like, every single time they do this, like, okay, well, let's coach them up. Let's talk to the doctors about that. And those conversations always start with, let me tell you what you did wrong. Doctors don't like that.
Because, doctors don't ever do anything wrong.
Yeah, they do not like being told that they did something wrong, which makes sense because these are people who went to school for a very long time in a very competitive situation academically.
Yep.
These were individuals who were arguing when they had 3 points taken off of a test.
Yes.
They don't want you to tell them they coded something wrong during surgery, right?
Oh my gosh, it's so true. It's so true. And you don't want to tell them because they've done, because of that. They are such perfectionists, right? I mean, I just made a comment about this I don't know when, probably in the last week, could have been yesterday. It makes things, it's like, from a perspective, doctors have to be perfect. They've got to, if you don't diagnose somebody right, they're going to be upset. The patient's going to be upset, right? There's malpractice. You don't want to take the wrong limb off, right? Everything has to be just right.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have a coder or a rev cycle leader come and say,
Yes.
you're not doing this right.
Let me tell you what you've been doing wrong. They don't absorb
That
that
doesn't always go, so developing that relationship is so important.
It's key. If you don't, they're not going to listen. They're going to go back to the basement. I know what I'm doing. So you have to build that relationship. It's critical.
And it's hard if you have a lot of doctors. If you're in a clinic
Yes.
that has, multi-specialty, and you have a lot of doctors and you're trying to develop that relationship with each one of them, and everybody has a different, different perspective. I'll have to tell you this story. So I know this is about you, but I got to tell you this story because you're going to
I'm here for it.
You ready for it? Because these are kind of things I'm going to have to tell. I'm going to speak on a lot of these crazy stories because they're just a lot of fun. But this is totally me. This is totally my thing, okay? So I sent out this email to a doctor, okay? And I didn't proofread it very well. I mean, I thought I had proofread it,
Sure.
And he didn't know it was coming from me. He didn't know it was coming from me. So he calls me because I'm the rev cycle leader, and he's just giving me the up and the down about this person who sent him this email and how it wasn't very good, and blah blah blah, yada yada yada. So I pull up the email and I'm looking at it, and it was fine. There was just like maybe one or two mistakes in it, from a grammar perspective.
Yeah.
And I am not a grammar queen. I'll tell everybody that. That's why I use everything in the mother to make sure that it's all done right. Well, for whatever reason, I sent this out. I got it. He's thinking this is somebody else, that I need to go talk to that person, and they should never send another email out for again. And when it was done, I said, doctor, that email came from me. And he was like, okay. I said,
Oh my gosh.
I will double check next time that I should have checked before it went out. But in essence, it doesn't change the fact that you still need to do ABC, but I will double check it next time. And he was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. And I was like, you don't have to apologize. I should have gotten that. I should have looked at that better.
Oh,
But
how do you feel about it?
they just think they want it to be right. And they,
They do. I know.
learn very fast.
Oh, yes.
The people.
Oh, yeah. The approach.
Oh,
How you approach covering, like, hey, we need you to shake some stuff up a little bit with coding. Your approach is going to make all the difference into whether they listen or try to lock you into the basement. Yeah.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. I do think that I have worked with some amazing coding leaders, that worked for me and with me. I always say people work with me, not for me, but amazing. And I walk in and they'll be like, Cissy, can you come with me? And I'm like, you got this. And they're like, just come with me.
Just stand there.
I just need you to sit.
It's moral support.
You don't have to say anything, just sit. And I'm like, okay. But sometimes they just need that because, our doctors we have some amazing, amazing doctors out there, and we have some high-strung
Yes.
doctors out there. And it's, those conversations, the hardest conversations, I think, and maybe you can tell us some story if you have them, is when you do your normal audit review. Nobody likes the word audit, so they want you to review.
That scares them.
Don't do a chart audit, do a chart review or do a chart optimization. That's an audit.
You're like, OIG is here to do a review.
We're going to do a review. These people have acronyms behind their name.
Yes.
But that is probably, I think, one of the hardest jobs for a coder that's auditing, right? Because they have to go through and basically they're just looking for mistakes. They're just looking for that grammatical error. Not really, but what I mean, right?
They are.
And
it's
then they have
black and white for
coders. Do you have any stories about any of that? I know you've audited a couple charts, one or two.
It's so challenging. So I'm not a certified coder, so I've always had them work with me or for me, same thing. Although none of them have ever asked me to be like their emotional support stuffed animal when we're going. So I'm kind of jealous. Although if I did have an emotional support sissy, I would take you into those conversations.
Tone it down.
I would bring my emotional support sissy everywhere with me. No, I did have one provider. So we did this chart review and everything they were doing was a level 5 service, which seems suspect when we compare, to the rest of the specialty and the rest of the providers in the same clinic. And everybody else has, that normal E&M bell curve.
Yep.
Their 3s are high, their 2s are 4 are relatively high, their 1s and 0s are nearly non-existent. His was a peak. It was like a flat line, boom, level 5 back.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And he said, well, I'm basing it on time. And I said, well, what? Okay. Timer MDM. Okay. Explain. And he said, I saw each of these patients for more than 45 minutes. I'm like, you saw 25 patients yesterday. He's like, yeah. Like for
45 minutes.
5 minutes. The math ain't mathin'. Something's wrong. Okay. Yeah, no, and I do some girl math. I'm like, oh, this is 50% off. I have a $25 in my purse that I found. This is free. No, I will do girl math, right? I was like, something is wrong. Well, come to find out, we had to dig really deep because he was pretty defensive about it. We had to dig deep into his workflows and talk to his medical assistant. He was getting up at like 3 a.m. and pre-charting his notes with what he expected the patient was going to say. And then he would change during the visit to whatever the patient actually said. And he was counting. He would take the amount of time that he'd worked on charts in the morning. So let's say he did it for 2 hours. He'd say 2 hours divided by this number of patients I have to see today is only this much time. So I'd better bump that up. And then he would round that up to, 20, 30 minutes per patient. And put that on there when it was really 5 or 10 minutes of documenting something that had not happened yet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I bet he was probably thinking, I'm going to be efficient because I'm going to get this all done. I have very complex patients. I'm going to prepare. I'm going to be proactive.
Yes. And the crazy part is when we looked at his patient base, because he was part of an ACO, and when we looked at his patient base, they were extremely complex. And he knew his patients really well. And I'm like, you're doing this crazy review of charts. You're documenting some of what happened, and you're not documenting enough to show the MDM, but the MDM would have been there for probably 60% of them. So he wouldn't have been a bell curve doctor anyway. He would have had a lot of level 5s, more than level 4s and 3s.
Because of the complexity of the case.
Exactly. But I'm like, the way you went about it is not okay.
Yeah.
That is fraudulent. You can't pre-document what you think they might say. What if you missed something? What if a patient didn't show up and you now have a problem?
As if they did.
Yes, you have an HPI as if they were in the room and they never were there.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so it created all of these kind of like medical legal challenges when really he was a good doctor trying to be efficient, and he really did have a high complexity patient base. It was crazy.
So we have an eclectic group of people that listen to this hidden pulse thing that we're doing here. It's so much fun. This is the kind of stuff that people go, now, Cissy, when you're doing a podcast, you don't go, this hidden pulse thing. Anyway, all that to say is we have people that are from dental on here that has a whole different perspective of things. We have medical, of course, that are on here that that will probably not under some of the language that even I say, because I'm going to be talking about dental and medical, and you're going to be talking about medical. And then we have some people that are on vision that neither one of us are going to be talking about unless you're going to talk about ophthalmology, which I haven't done ophthalmology in a really long time.
I've not done ophthalmology ever.
For a multi-specialty group, I did it very little. They seem to be in their own little world, I was like, oh, okay, they're doing okay.
Yeah, vision is so different.
But what can you say what an ACO is? Because there's going to be people that are going to be on here that have heard DSO, which is a dental service organization, and they've heard of MSOs, which is a medical service organization. What is an ACO?
Yeah, so an ACO is an accountable care organization, and typically, what I see anyway, normally, is that you have a group of providers, and sometimes they're all at the same practice, sometimes they're not, and they have elected to get together to do some really cool reimbursement strategies that are value-based. So saying like, look, we believe we can really drive down the cost of care for our patients and improve their outcomes. And while we do that, we want to be reimbursed for the extra quality that we're providing. So we're going to take down the cost for the insurance company. We're going to knock it out of the park in terms of how our patients are doing, but we want to be more highly reimbursed because we are saving the industry that cost and because we are saving these patients from exacerbations. So there's a bunch of different ACO models. They're all really cool, kind of innovative. They all have their own little charms and pros and cons and cool things. It's nice to see those more, innovative, integrative models in the healthcare industry right now, I think is pretty cool. But yeah, no, good call out. I didn't even think about that.
Well, and not only that, think about this. For the dental industry, so I've got some people that are from the insurance side that listen to wonderful podcasts, right? That's pretty cool. But listen, they're really thinking about value-based care.
Yeah, you have.
And I'm thinking to myself, what is it? I can see it in peds, and I can see it in general dentistry. I can even see it in perio. And somebody's probably rolling their eyes right now that I said it that way. But in a sense, right now, they're thinking about value-based care. And the first time they mentioned that in a big meeting, it was like an elephant in the room when I said, I don't think so. You're not ready for that? We got to get reports out of your system right now. We can't. Yeah. So you're not ready for that. When you experienced the ACOs for the first time, you're starting, this was what, like 2012, 2013 when ACOs were coming out? Was that about right?
Yeah, sometime around then. Yeah, it was.
And everybody was like, oh, yeah, value-based. What was the one thing, so thinking back, and this is for all my dental people that are on call, what's the one thing that you were like, boy, if I had to do that again, I would do this. This is for all the dental people on the call. Listen closely.
So the biggest challenge, and for the ACOs that I've seen not do well, their biggest challenge was not having a culture that was ready for transformation. What they thought was, we already do a great job. We will just report on the great job that we're doing, and we will show and evidence that way that we're helping with the cost of care and patient outcomes. What they did not anticipate was that they would actually have to change some things, that there would be reporting, and that there would be these really transparent conversations, of like a Dr. Smith, you're doing a great job, but Dr. Brown, you're actually driving the cost up a little. So we need to talk to you about your supplies and really having conversations about supplies. We need everybody to use the same type of supplies. The groups that I talked to that really struggled were not ready for change. They were not ready to transform. They weren't ready to communicate about it. They did not have a culture that permitted transformation, where it was an organizational culture, like everybody's excited. They'd have one person that was like, I think I can make it work. And it doesn't matter how hard you are pulling in that direction. If everyone else in the company is pulling in the opposite direction, guess which way you're going, And so that's typically where I saw people fail. But I mean, there's other factors there that you need to tick off. If you can't do reporting, and I mean granular reporting, you are not ready for this. If
No.
you have basic foundational things that you're still doing wrong, or you don't know how to know when you may be committing fraud, like you need to get all those things ticked off of the box first and get those out of the way.
Yeah.
And then make sure you have that culture for change and transformation. And I think once you have that, then you can really succeed at an ACO. But there was a lot of ill-prepared people trying to jump onto the bandwagon.
Have you ever worked in RHCs or FQHCs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know how hard the reporting is?
Oh, yes.
It's
Yeah.
insane, right? It's just like,
And
and that has always been difficult because those were smaller practices that didn't necessarily have to adopt EMR systems and
yeah,
they're trying to do it all manually.
yeah.
That,
I met an FQHC the other day that's still doing paper claims.
oh,
They're still on paper. Yeah. And I think most of the USVI is still, the US Virgin Islands is still on paper charts as
yeah.
well.
And then also, wasn't aren't ASCs still not, they can still be on paper if they would like to
I
be?
think that they
Or
can.
have they been asked to go electronic?
I can't remember, but there's a bunch of exclusions. If you fall under certain thresholds, then you're fine. So if you fall underneath a certain tier, you can just stay on paper. And I mean, I talked to physicians during the whole transition to EHRs that were ready to just change specialties into something that might not ever need to be.
You're like, what can I do to stay
Yeah.
on the paper chart?
Oh yeah. I worked at a group once. It was a beautiful practice. It was an asthma, and they had windows around the entire building. And we had some storms come in, knocked the power out. The storms went away, but we had no power. And the doc was like, do we need to reschedule all these patients? And I said, I'm going to defer to you because there is more than enough light for you to go ahead and continue to see patients, but you would have to chart on paper. You would think I told him it was Christmas morning. He skipped all the way to his office. He was like, I have a pad of paper. I'm going to chart on paper. He was so happy. And then he had a younger doc with him who was like, I never charted on paper. Not even.
I don't know what to do.
Well, he had never charted on paper. He was like panicking, like, I don't know what to do. So we switched their MAs for the day.
Wow.
Seasoned MA who knew how to chart on paper was like, I got you, go see patients. And I've never seen the other physician we had there. I've never seen him that happy. I
Never seen him so happy in your life. You're like, he's gone back to his happy place.
was so happy. But I'm glad now I get to chart on paper again.
Like, do we have to turn the power back on? Can we leave it on?
Oh yeah. When the power was on the following day, they were like, all right, fine, back to
All
normal.
right, I'll go put it in. Who's going to put all that documentation in from yesterday?
Well,
That's
not
that
them.
would be. It was not going to be
them.
them. They already did their thing.
Oh yes, it was definitely not them. They reviewed it, but we had to put that in.
All right. So, let's get into some fun stuff because this is the hidden pulse about you, Taya.
Sure.
All right, you ready? It's not about Cissy. Although
Right.
sometimes
Crack my knuckles
I
and get
can't.
ready.
I can't help it. I'm just like, I gotta talk. All right, so here we go. What drew you into the healthcare field?
Oh, good question. I think I just like to help people. I think I've spent most of my entire life trying to figure out, who needs help? How can I help people? I grew up in a very large family. And for a while, a lot of us lived in the same house. There was like 11 or 12 of us in the same
Oh
house.
my gosh,
And
that's
there
wild.
was always someone who needed help. And
Sure.
my love language is appreciation. So I'm like, I can help you with that. And you go, thank you, Taya. And I was like, I am valuable. So I think that I just, tied that into self-worth at a young age. The more you help people, the more you are worth. And so I don't know. That was pretty much what dragged me into healthcare.
And then you went into healthcare and nobody says thank you to RCMP.
No, I didn't feel valuable anymore very quickly.
I'm gonna have to change my love language to.
Yeah. Now I have to rent audiobooks. How does one change one's love language? I don't know. Yeah.
Go, definitely one of those things, right? Okay, so you've been doing this. You've written books, which you've done amazingly at. You've been talking. You get out there. You're teaching at a great university is pretty awesome. So there are obviously some defining moments in your career, obviously, just from those highlights. I mean, that's pretty awesome. I was just thinking about just sitting down. I think about writing the book, and I think I write the book in my head, but the work to actually take it from here
Sure.
to there, it's a lot. So I'm just like,
Right.
when I can, just dictate the book, maybe I would probably do it now, but then there would be these like squirrel moments in the book.
Right.
People would be like, what's happening here? What's just,
Those
all
are
that,
the entertaining moments.
you have a lot of defining moments outside of those items that are pretty awesome. What other defining moments have you had in your career?
In healthcare, man, there's been so many really cool things that we've done. And I think, most of those I wouldn't even tie to the books and the speaking and all of that stuff. I think the cooler things are when you can get involved at a granular level and kind of help a patient with something that tends to be the stuff that I would always take home more than anything else. And so I've been involved in situations where, they're like, I've tried to, especially in auth, right? Prior auth, like I've tried to authorize this procedure. I started out in pain management. And so
Wow.
we had patients that were in chronic pain constantly. And so for me, it was like, I'm in the auth department. I have an opportunity to be a storyteller for this patient, to really help advocate for them in a language that they don't speak, right? Because most patients don't speak the language of healthcare. That health literacy isn't high. So I'm like, I can be an interpreter for them. I can explain their pain in a way that the insurance company understands and get approved for them something that will hopefully change their day-to-day life. For me, that is so powerful. I think I've been an advocate for off departments like my whole life since then, because it's such huge kind of power that you have directly into the patient's life. You become part of the treatment plan almost by being able to get those things approved. So while we've done very cool things, right? The rest of my team we've done very, very cool, kind of notable, visible things. The things that have brought me the most joy are things like that, or like working with a practice that says, we desperately need your help. We're not going to make payroll. We're terrified of that. And you start working with them, you help them clean up, you see them go all in on fixing things. And then, you look back in 6 months and they're doing really well and they're thriving and they're putting money away. And then you look back in 12 months and they're talking about, I think we could open a second location. Let's find the county next door. Those things mean more than all of the other stuff combined. I mean,
For sure.
that's when you actually help the community.
Those are the kinds of things that stick to you. That's what drives you to do the next hard thing. You think, oh,
100%.
the other one was hard, but we got through that.
Yeah, we kept a community physician open to support the community because they didn't understand all of the hard, regulatory stuff or revenue cycle protocols or the thousands of things that can happen that can cause a physician practice to fail. We helped them with that. And now there's a community of people that have a resource still for care. I will always refill my cup every single time. Yeah.
I think that's one of the things. That's definitely a driver for me is when I see things get better, but mostly that it gets better for the staff. That's my thing.
Yes.
Right? When they've worked so hard and they're doing a process that is just so cumbersome. And I'm like, but you can literally just click here.
Yeah.
Because everything that you're doing over there.
We can do it a different way.
And I just didn't know that they could click this, and so that equates to better patient care because they're less stressed, they're getting things done, they're getting, and when you hear the stories like what you just said, like now we can possibly open another location for this area. That's a big deal when you're getting service to patients. Like that's
huge. It's absolutely huge.
If you could go back to the beginning of your career, Taya, beginning. Think about it.
Okay.
You don't have to tell us the year, though I'll give you a penny if you do. I'm just teasing.
Right.
You go back to the beginning of your career. What advice would you give yourself today? I mean, like, you've learned so much, and or if you're going to have somebody that's entering in, like you are seeing that they're
Yeah.
entering in, what advice would you give?
You know, it's challenging because being a woman leader, period, doesn't matter what your industry is, you always have extra pressure. So I think if it was me, it would just be, to tell somebody there are going to be people who are preying on your downfall. There are going to be people that do not want you to succeed. And there are going to be people that do not like you. And all of that is okay for them. But don't take it home. Don't let it change what you do. Don't let it impede your abilities to succeed. And don't ever do the same thing, right? Like, we can all continue, we can move on, we can be successful. If I had spent my energy trying to convince people that didn't like me to like me, I would have never gotten anywhere. But I know that I got places slower. And I succeeded in my career slower because I was spending time thinking, I know this person is praying for me to fail, but I think I could convince them, right, that we can work together. Some people don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
And they want to do it on their own, and they don't want you to shine in your element, and that's okay for them. But that does not have to be part of your story. And it's okay to forgive that person and also never talk to them again and put that wall up and just keep doing you and keep putting your own love and light into the industry. And I wish I'd kind of gotten that sooner in life than I did. I did eventually get it, because you want people to like you. You want people to see, like, I'm here to help you. Don't you love that? And sometimes people don't. They're like, no, go away.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll be honest, I don't know if I've learned that lesson yet. I
It's
still
hard.
will do that. I think one of the things is I just want people to be happy,
Yeah.
and I can't make people be happy.
No. And not only that, but it's not your job to make
It
other
is not
people
my job.
happy.
I need to be me. I need to be there.
Yeah. If people are that unhappy, there's something else that they need to do to fix that. And that's their homework, not yours.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, so you've been around a little bit then, 1 or 2 times. Blah, blah. Seen
Yeah.
some very fun and funny things in your career.
Oh,
I
the
know you
time.
have a story in there. So a lot of people, when I say funny, they'll say, well, I don't know if it's funny. It might be unexpected, or I'm not really sure. But what story do you usually tell to people that you're like, oh my gosh, you got to hear this story that happened?
Gosh, there's so many of them. I mean, I feel like, well, I have a great sense of humor and I think things are funny all of the time. But I will tell you, there's, how about this? There's two, and I'll have you.
Tell me both of them, girl.
One time I was in my office and working, an employee came in and she said, can I talk to you? I have a question. I don't know if I should bring it to you because you're not my direct supervisor. And I kind of went over my direct supervisor. And I need somebody to help me with this. And I said, sure, shut the door. What's going on? And she took off her pants.
But she didn't. Did she think you were the doctor or something?
Oh, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And she goes, I just need to know if I should get this checked out. Honey,
This is not the place you go.
you're not sure that you need something checked out. You must remove your pants to show it to me. You should go get it checked out. Just go get it checked out. That was the first thing that I thought of when you just asked that question. That's immediately the first thing I thought of. Because I was like, if you're wondering, the answer is yes.
Yes.
Yes. You should get it checked out by a medical professional. And at the time, I was still a first responder because I was a first responder for a while, wanting to help people. People have to love you if you're a first responder.
Right. That's how we all start. It seems like there are a lot of us. We
Yeah.
all started in that EMT paramedic. We wanted to try it out.
Take care of people and then they'll love me. That's a whole different therapy session.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
I think that's why she asked me. But I still, to this day, sometimes I'm like, I have no idea. Now, I should have been happy with myself that she felt comfortable enough with me to
Sure.
have that conversation
Sure.
with me. But I'm also like, did I not give her the appearance of boundaries? Like, what did I do? There's some learning in there.
Yeah.
There's definitely some. The second one is, and this one cracked me up every time. It cracked the patient up, thank God. So when I lived back in the Maryland area, there was an earthquake one year. And the earthquake was actually in like Richmond, Virginia or something. But it rocked the heck out of the hospital campus. And a lot of those buildings are designed for a little bit of movement. but the poles and light fixtures on them are not. So I looked out of the window. We were on the top floor, and the light poles are swinging like this. Now, we had an earthquake and a tornado protocol. Okay. The protocol for both of them was to go to this far stairwell in the building because it was the only structure attached to the building or the garage that was prepared for tornadoes and for earthquakes. So you're supposed to go to the stairwell, go all the way to the bottom, take the patients with you. We had an employee, clinical side in your scrub. She's helping a patient get to their car. So she's wheeling them out through the clinic, down the hallway. The earthquake hits, everything starts shaking. She looks out the window, she sees the poles going, and she goes, the building's gonna collapse. And she leaves the patient and sprints to the stairwell by herself.
Oh my gosh, that's unexpected. It's not funny. That's unexpected.
I was just coming out of the admin side and I saw her run away, and I looked at the patient and I was like, let's wheel you to safety. And she was like in stitches. She's like crying, laughing. And she said, I don't think that girl's ever seen an earthquake before in her life. She said she ran so fast for a second, I thought I might be able to get up and follow her. And she was a paraplegic. I cannot make this stuff up. She said she ran so fast, I had the urge to get up and go with her. She go with her. Walk now. Oh my God. She said she was so afraid, and she was laughing so hard it was making me laugh. It didn't take much to make me laugh. So by the time I wheeled her to the stairwell, she was coming back in, and she goes, there you are. I just forgot you. And the lady was like, yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Standing out here watching the poles,
Watching the light poles swinging back and forth on the garage.
Oh my God. You know, sometimes my husband says this to me, and I think I've said this multiple times on the podcast. So here's the thing about having a podcast, because you have a podcast, right?
We do. We're actually about to launch a new one.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, I'm going to listen to that. But
we're going to be on it. What are we talking about?
Yeah, have me on it. That sounds great. I'm only going to do that. Listen, this is one of the things that my husband says. He says, you're going to run out of stories because
no, you won't.
Listen to your podcast, you're going to say the same story over again. But I think I have said this one before. But every time my husband gets hurt, I love my husband. He is the best guy in the whole world.
You laugh.
But I can't help it. I
Absolutely.
cannot help it. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's I don't know what it is.
Makes us laugh.
Every time he falls or every time he gets hurt, I just die laughing.
Look at that poor man.
Last year he fell.
Oh.
First of all, I told him not to go outside. It was rainy and icy out, and I said, "Don't go outside. It's rainy and I
warned.
fall down." He's like, "I'm gonna be fine. I got."
You warned him.
Puts all his stuff on. He goes out. He falls down. He calls me on the phone, and he says, "Hey, I need you to come out here. I have fallen."
Did he say it like that? Fallen. Hilarious.
I said, serious? And it's like, yeah. So I start laughing. And he's like, don't laugh. I'm hurting. You need to come out here. So I'm not dressed to come out in sleet, snow, rain.
Right.
So I'm in my slippers. I run out there. He's laying on the ground. And I just start laughing. Like hysterical. It was bad. And he's look on his face like this. Really? Really? I have fallen and you're going to laugh. That's how you, and I'm like, I'm sorry. And
oh my gosh.
And I'm like, what hurts? And he says his foot hurts. And he goes, I need to take this boot off. I said, you don't need to take that boot off. You might have broken your bone. As I am laughing, right?
Yeah.
Because I play a doctor on TV.
Like yeah,
I've worked long enough in orthopedics that I'm like, you may have broken something.
Yeah,
right?
Let's not bend your foot back out of here.
Let's kind of get you inside. So I'm laughing so hard. I can't.
Oh my gosh.
I can't get him up. So I get him halfway up.
Did you drop him? Oh my God, this poor man.
What's wrong with you?
Broke his other leg.
His foot, and I felt so bad. I just think you think it's funny when I fall down. I'm like, I don't know why.
That is a laughter trigger for so many people. Like my sister and my husband, both of them, if there's a fail video online, it destroys them. They will be laughing for 20 minutes and they'll just keep watching it on a loop and laughing harder every time. For some people, that triggers laughter.
Oh my gosh. Oh
and
my
I think that's okay because some of my favorite people, that is, for me, it's always like these obscure plays on words. And so it's always something that nobody else thinks is funny. Like I love puns, like really? Obsessive level. And so when people tell me dumb jokes, I will love it.
Dry sense of humor.
Absolutely.
I'm a dry sense of humor,
Absolutely.
and I'll say stuff because I'm
Yeah.
dry sense, and people just look at me like
People get
like
it.
they're like, "Is she okay?"
It's so disappointing when people don't get. I think I've watched the movie Clue 200 times. I could tell you word for word the whole movie. I love that movie.
No, you
I love it so much because all of the jokes, there's this scene where they're passing around like hors d'oeuvres or whatever, but at the same time they're talking about a poet and he says, I prefer Kipling. And he passes the hors d'oeuvres and he goes, do you like Kipling? And she's like, no, I already ate. And that line destroyed me. I laughed so hard. And everybody else is like, it's not funny. She misunderstood what he was talking about. I'm like, I get that. It's still funny. Yeah, I'm like, "It's funny." Yeah, that's what gets me laughing.
Well, I like, you're gonna love this too. I like weird things happening.
Okay, give me an example.
Like unexpected weird things happening, and you just start laughing because
Yeah.
you're like, "That is
That is
not
not what I expected to
expected."
happen.
So, let me tell you a story. So, you travel a lot for work,
Yes.
right? You see a lot of different things. You go and experience a lot of different things, and I'm pretty sure I've said this story before, but I'm probably gonna laugh really hard. It may not be able to pull the whole story off, but I was in North Carolina. I was at a hospital system. We went out to lunch. We went out to lunch, and they said, "Let's take you to like a mom and pop place to eat." And it was like one of those bed and breakfast places that have lunch that's served there.
Nice.
And it was really nice. It was an old house. You walked up. I'm like, this is kind of neat. You walk in, it's got these old china, little old tables. And you're like tables in the living room and tables in
So
the dining room
cute.
and tables and things. So cute, so cute. And it was like a nice little, I don't know how you describe it, but food was like that light, like little sandwiches, little quiches, little
Yeah,
stuff,
like
right?
tapas, like small plates.
Like you're starving.
Yeah, you're like bringing
You want a hamburger with
your
fries,
pantry, I'm hungry.
and you get a little titty quiche with a salad, and you're
What?
like, what's going on?" So we're sitting there, and the tables are not sturdy. They are not
Yeah.
sturdy, okay? They are flimsy tables. They're not gonna do that.
Oh my gosh.
So we're talking, and it's directors and VP that was there, and I wasn't a VP or a director at the time. I was just a plain manager that was doing my job and from the corporate office and blah blah blah, right? And this little old man comes in with a shopping cart.
Why?
I know. It was a shopping cart from the grocery store across the way. I think it was a Save-A-Lot or something.
What was he doing?
Like, and nobody paid attention to it.
It's so cute. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I don't joke. I mean, I make some weird expressions. Okay, I have some very weird
My face says
And
everything.
I was like, he turns and goes into like I don't know what it was, but it was like another room with other tables of people eating.
Oh my gosh.
He makes a loop, and you can hear it squeaking. Maybe he's picking up plants or something that he's going to put in there, and he's going to take it. Whatever. No, he comes. This little old man. He comes out into the room again, into our room.
What was he doing?
I'm looking, I don't know. I still to this day, it's been years. Everybody in the room was just like not really paying attention to it. So
Like it's normal. Like he does this every day.
like, yeah. And I almost started thinking, I'm in an old house. I'm seeing a ghost.
The ghost.
I'm seeing
Yeah.
a ghost. Nobody's.
Nobody else.
And then I start laughing. So,
Oh my gosh.
and you know when you laugh really, really hard and you slam your hand on the table
Yeah.
or you get too excited? So this is the funny part. Not just that the guy is walking around with a grocery cart in a restaurant. I slam my hand on the table. Remember, not remembering that
No. What happened? Did it flip over?
all the dishes went. Boop. And then
That makes you laugh harder.
they started laughing.
Oh my
Everyone is laughing. And then the next thing we know, it's like everybody recognized that there was a cop
Like right then, everybody's like, something weird is happening.
walking through. And then, I mean, the whole place started laughing. And people laugh. because they get contagious. You know,
Absolutely.
laugh and somebody else laughs, and maybe somebody's going to laugh at this one. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I feel so embarrassed after. It's kind of like dropping your husband when he's hurt.
I get it because I get uncontrollable giggles like all of the time. I think you have to choose joy in life. And then once you do, and you're like, I choose to just find things funny, like then it's uncontrollable. So my daughter, I have a gang of kids. I told you we've got 6 and they go from 24 to 4. Again, I did not personally curate all of these humans. I just help continue to bake them. But my youngest, the 4-year-old, this was literally last night. She wanted to take a bath. I go in, turn on the bath water, and like, go get undressed and come in. She wanted to sprint to me like a ninja turtle, or as she calls them, an inja turtle, because they don't have the first N. And she goes running headfirst into the side of the door.
That sounds like something I would do.
Yeah, and I'm like, did you not see? What were you doing? Like, she was looking at me, sprints right into the side of the door, and she grabs her head and she goes, wow, that sucked. I lost it. I thought she was going to be like in tears, like, Mom, I'm injured. And like bath nights turned into a horror show. She just goes, wow, that sucked. Can I get the bath now? I could not stop laughing. And then she's like, are you laughing at me? And I'm like, no, I'm laughing at something else that happened that I just remembered because I don't want her to be upset, but I could not stop laughing. It was so funny.
Great. I'm just loving this time with you, Taya. This is great. All right. So let's move into some more. I don't know how we're going to move
We
from.
gotta move away from funny stuff.
I don't know if we're going to be able to because it's just going to have you, keep like, we're just going to keep going. Okay. Oh, breakthroughs, right? You have to have a breakthrough. What was the biggest challenge or a breakthrough? It didn't, something that just said, yeah, I got it. Look, I'm even crying because
I know, because it was so funny.
So, there's times in your career that you go, okay, yeah, this is the lesson I learned and I achieved something because of it. And it was a big breakthrough. Do you have anything like that?
Oh, man, a big breakthrough, a lesson learned. Well, let me tell you what, you fail a lot before you get to a point of success in your life. So I feel like I have a lot of stories to choose from. But I think one of the biggest is that burnout isn't helping anyone. And I think I didn't realize that for way too long. So I had this time, I was working for this administrator, and she was one of those people that like wanted to see you fail. Like she did not want to see you succeed.
I don't like those.
No, it was really hard. And she was not in a great place personally in her life. And so I was picking up all the slack and I was doing so much work and I was exhausted. At that time, I had 3 kids and I was working full time. I was going to school full time in the evening. Like I was exhausted, but I'm also managing all 3 of the practices, all 3 surgery centers that we had, the hospital rotation schedules. I'm managing off and billing and like everything. And we had a meeting with the owners and they asked a question. She answered and they said, we want to hear it from Taya. And I answered the question. And it was what we talked about. And I said, she and I discussed it and we agreed on the following and we worked together. I was very careful. Okay. Because at this point I knew she does not like me. I was very careful. We did all of this together. We came up with this. We did blah, 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 blah. So at the end of that meeting, we got in the car to go back to the office and I was driving her around. So she's 6, 8 inches away from me. She gets like super close and she goes, you are never going to be able to do my job and you need to stop.
No.
I was like, you know what? You have not eaten lunch and you might be hangry. Let's go get you something to eat. So,
my goodness. That's bold.
So I got her some food. I went back to the office. And at this point, I'm like shaking. And thankfully, I had an office door. I shut my door and I'm just sobbing. And I called my husband, my ex-husband, and he's my ex-husband for a good reason, but he was a good man in this moment. And so I said, I have been working myself to death for this. And he said, right, but why? Because no one is appreciating it. So why are you doing that? Nobody knows why you're working this hard. He's like, you're working for her, like working overtime, working to maintain her like view to the other owners. And for what? And I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. This is too much stuff. Like I need to be done. And I called one of the owners, the one I was the closest to out of the 3. And I said, I cannot do this anymore. This is my last day. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. Today was very hard. I'm overworked. I'm going to school full time. I have the kids. I need to be a better parent. I'm just going to step away. And he said, please don't leave. Please give me 24 hours. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll give you 24 hours. And he called me to a meeting the next day with the other owners. And he said, we know that you're the one who's been running the practice. And I'm
They had
sorry.
already seen it.
Yeah. And he said, I'm sorry that you continue to work yourself past burnout to try to prove that you were working hard, because we already knew. We've known. We've hired somebody else. We have a replacement. And when we let that person know that you were leaving, they said they would not come on board without you.
Wow.
And I was like, holy cow, seriously, who is it? And they told me. So they did a very great job, like, supporting her in her exit, because, to be clear, for 20 years, she got that practice to what it was. She grew it to what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
She lost her way, and that's okay. We
Well, it
didn't need to be
happens.
best
It
friends.
happens to all of us.
It happens to all of us, but she'd done a great job. So they did a great job recognizing her as she exited. And then they brought in the new leader. And I said to him on the first day, I'm not going back to doing all of these things that I was doing before. And he said, correct. You never should have done that for anybody in the first place.
Wow. Great leader at the very beginning.
Yeah. And so I've approached everything else like I'm like, am I burning myself out for something that isn't worth it? Why am I doing that? So I was working like 70, 80-hour weeks. They already knew I was doing all the work. They already knew I was picking up extra slack. All I had to do was have a conversation and I would have known.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
a massive lesson learned.
at the end, yeah, that's a I think very massive lesson. And then also people take advantage.
Yes.
One of the things that I wish, and I used to tell this to team members all the time, there are 4 kinds of personalities, right? The color wheel, you get the die wheel, there's all these
sure.
people that talk about personalities, right?
Yes.
So you have the A's, or drivers, or red, whatever you want to have. You tell them I'm a red personality.
Yeah. You have all the colors, the
Yeah,
yellows, the
right.
teamers.
And then you have the influencer, socialers, the whatever, and then usually like I's or S's, right?
Right.
And then you have the caregiver, the ones that are just they're blue, they take care of you, they do all these other things. They're just really good, solid people, and things. And then you have like the thinkers, right? They're usually CFOs, your doctors, usually your doctors are sitting in the A's and the T's, right? And your practices, right? Your practices are usually in the I's and the blues, thinker, these people over here, right? Well, if you're a blue and you're a caregiver, which you love to do, right? You talked about it. These individuals are amazing individuals because they are able to so jealous of. I look at him and I go, why can't I be more like that? Right? My God, out of the plans. He said, no, since you
It
need
takes all kinds. That's why.
it takes a whole wheel to do that.
Yes, it does.
But these individuals, they know everything that's going on in the practice. People relate to them. They're usually called relators, right? But they're also yes people. So they will, because they want you to be good. They want to really, and so you'll ask them to do something, and say, yes, I'll do it.
Okay.
And then you're like, oh, okay. And then you ask them something else, and then, yes, I'll do that. And then before long, they're doing all this work, and it just burns them out because they want you to be successful, all of a sudden they're like, yes, yes, yes. And I have team members on that blue. And the first thing I would say to them is say, you're blue. I'm going to need you to tell me no when I ask you to do something, because I might accidentally have you do too much.
Yes.
And you're going to be accidentally telling me, yes, I'll take it on. Yes, I'll take
And
it on.
accidentally burn
Yes,
out.
I'll take it on.
Yeah.
And then you walk into my office and I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it takes all kinds of people to run a practice and understand, those different things. So it's really cool that those leaders saw that in you and was like,
Oh, I was amazed. Yeah. And I mean, it's obviously still an issue because I just met with my mentor for lunch yesterday. And she's a dear friend now, but she said to me in the middle of it, I want to know how many things you said no to this year.
yeah.
And I was like, the salmon here is very nice.
I should have said no to it because I wanted to stay.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to do when you know that you can help somebody and you know that somebody needs help. To say no to helping them feels like an unkindness. And I try to remember a different mentor and friend said to me once, like, if you don't own your own skill set and your time. Somebody else is going to take ownership of it from you, and it'll be a lot harder for you to get that back. And so I know that I try to work on that, but it's so hard when you know you can help someone. And I still feel very apologetic. I can't help you with this because I don't have time, but I probably know some other people that could. And maybe if I just stopped sleeping at night, I could help you with it. Like, I still want to help people with everything. If I can help, I would like to. So that is something I still work on to this day.
So neat. I hate to say this, but it's so refreshing to hear you say that and talk about that. Is when I'm talking about the color wheel and stuff,
Sure.
the driver, the red, is so bold, is so always there, is so out there in your face. So, we usually, they call us the drivers, the bulldozers. We're like, we got a plan and we're going. We're going to do it. Here, what happens? Usually the Reds, I hate to say it, but usually the Reds have blindfolders so they don't see all the things on the
Yeah.
side. And the Blues will support you to the detriment.
We will. If you ever run off of
We got this. Let's go together. You're just like, and it's nice to know that the other colors might have some things they struggle with. Because I always think that you guys are perfect. All of you guys are perfect.
everybody's struggling with something. And for me, for sure, it is like knowing when to say no and how to protect my time. My husband's really good about advocating for me and being like, hey, you've been working for 12 hours today. Don't you think you need a brain break? Have you eaten today? And I know that I'm a problem because my daughter didn't have school today. And so she just walked in with breakfast. Like, she knew I wouldn't
What?
eat me. Like,
She's
that's
like,
a problem.
Mom,
Obviously
here's
not
some
the
eggs and
4-year-old.
waffles.
But yeah, she just walked in and set it on my desk while I was in the middle of a meeting. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. She's like, yeah, we know you're not going to eat otherwise. Like,
Yeah, we'll be back at lunch.
yeah, last night I was like leaning over the counter and I'm eating guacamole and chips. And my other daughter comes in and she goes, oh my God, tell me that's not your dinner. Cause it was 7:00. And I said, this is my lunch. And she was like, do better. So
Is this your 20-year-old?
that was she's 17.
Yeah,
And
do better, Mom.
do better. And I was like, I know. The 18-year-old made me breakfast this morning, which was
So you're in, all of these different things that you do, right? And so you see, like I do, and a lot of other people talking about innovations, people doing stuff.
all the time.
What is getting you excited? Or from a rev cycle perspective, what is getting you excited about what's coming in the future?
So, I feel like actual AI is exciting to me. There's so many people that keep saying AI and revenue cycle, and then you go look at it and it's just remote process automation. And you're like, that's not AI. It didn't learn anything. Actual AI and revenue cycle is exciting to me. And here's why. Because the insurance companies, okay, they're not the enemy. We do tend to demonize them because we're like, give us more money. Why do you make it so hard for me? But they have their own battles to fight too. But they also have a lot more at their disposal to toss at us to make it harder, right? So they have AI working to deny prior auths and working to down code what we're billing them and things like that, or to deny things outright. I love the idea of using AI at the provider level and using that as something that can help us overcome those things. Like, hey, the last time we submitted one of these, it denied because you used a not otherwise specified code. And though you didn't put that in the primary slot, this time you still have it on the claim. Are you sure you want to still submit it with this not otherwise specified code? You have a more specific one available in the patient's active problem list. Like, I want to see that stuff. I want to just see those systems think and say, you know what, based on what I've been seeing lately, we need to shake some stuff up, because we cannot keep going at the pace that we're going. Not when the margins at a private practice are like between 3 and 5% if they're well functioning. I mean, people still think that physicians are all driving around in Lamborghinis and all they eat for dinner is lobster, and they are struggling, a lot of them, just to make payroll on a regular basis. Like, something's got to give. So I'm excited to see that.
It's another reason why they're, moving into the bigger groups. It's the reason why they're moving the DSOs, moving into
exhausted.
DSOs, because that margin is too small. You can't really make it. And I'm excited about, well, of course, I'm excited about the AI because I'm going after a dream, doing RevTech partners, right? One of our partners, oh my gosh, you've got to meet him. His name is Brett. And I have two Davids, my partners, and one of the Davids, David and Brett, when I talk to them, I sit back and go, these guys are geniuses. And legitimately, they are. Like, they have genius
Makes
level
me
IQ.
excited. Like, let's go. Let's
And they're
down the
doing
industry.
things that I don't like to compare them to Elon Musk, but I say it all the time because it's the only other really techie person that has really made AI but it's in space and different things, right? These guys have been in medical and dental, and they're doing that. They're they're
That's
writing
absolutely what's needed.
programs, and these things are learning on its own.
Yeah.
It's going and saying, okay, this doctor is doing this, this, and this, and it's reading documents like OCR. We've been OCRing for years. Like, that's not
Yeah,
anything
absolutely.
different. Now it's going, hey, we're reading this, and you've been doing this, and you know what? You're not supposed. You need to be doing this.
Yeah.
Like, it's like next level. I mean, I've seen them run the engine on some of this, and it's new. It's like, I mean, I've never seen this.
That's so cool.
And I'm going, this is what AI is supposed to do.
That's the leap
This
that we
is
need in health.
how AI is supposed to work,
Yes.
right? Like, it's supposed to help you take away all of that easy stuff and find the things that aren't right. You know, we have rules engines, we have things like that that's doing that, but it's supposed to find the pattern that says,
Yes.
hey, whoa, there's a pattern here. And it's pretty amazing. So yeah, I agree with you. The AI stuff, everybody talks about it,
It's
but
going to be so
when
cool.
you start to see it, it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it's going to be so cool because even with the remote process automations, and just like you said, like you can put policies and guidelines and things in there, but it's only as up to date as the second it was entered. And that's the difference when you're using an AI tool. It is learning and it is predicting, and it's talking about, like, you know what? I think this is going to then be a problem. I think this is going to then be a problem. And our industry is what, 2-3 decades behind in terms of technology use than everyone else. Like, instead of us going through all of those pains and trying to get everybody to get rid of their fax machines and learn how to pivot tables in Excel, like, can we just leap forward? Can AI help us just like pick us up and move us up to the next platform? Because if any industry needed to do that rapidly to reduce cost and help patients and keep physicians in practice instead of telling their children not to go into medicine, like, we need that now more than ever.
It's kind of nice for you to hear this because I think that there's a lot of like I said, a lot of people on my podcast from the dentistry world. And we say this, people hear this and, they roll their eyes, but dentistry is about 15 years behind medical. But
Which is
we
crazy.
don't tell them that medical is probably about 15 years behind industry.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. We're behind sales, banking. We're way behind.
I mean, I would love to see even in medical reporting, and as something that
Yeah.
we're doing from our technology base, from a reporting perspective, I said not just report out the KPIs,
Yes.
but actually machine learn and understand that KPI is coming from this location,
Yes.
from this area, and seeing the trend that's happening with that area,
Yeah.
and being able to say, instead of me looking at the KPI and trying to quote figure it out,
Yeah.
that the KPI comes out and literally gives you the information in an email and says, hey,
And how to fix it.
go see doctor so-and-so. We're seeing a trend of this, this, and this. And the documentation is saying this, this, and this.
Yes.
And, how awesome would that be? Instead of you sitting down going, okay, I see this KPI and it's going down. Not sure what exactly is happening. So I'm going to go look here. I'm going to 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 look here. AI should do that for us.
Yeah, it's so funny because when I think of data and the way that we use it in healthcare, it's similar. I don't know if you've ever seen, there's this comedian, John Mulaney, and he does a skit about how people used to investigate crimes before they knew about DNA. And he says, the police officers, imagine they walk into a room and they're like, hey, there's a pile of the killer's blood. And they're like, ugh. Let's put tape around this body so we know where it was beforehand. And let's just study that. I feel like that's what we do in healthcare. We have all this data and we're like, yeah, that's a lot of great information, but let's look at this chalk outline and see if we can figure out what happened. Like, that's kind of where we're at. We're so far behind. I was doing this talk and I was telling people, like, you can have a phone system where when the patient calls in from their cell phone and you pick up, it launches their record on your monitor. And people are mind blown. They're like, what?
Systems that'll do that.
I'm like, call into Pizza Hut or Domino's today and tell me they don't have your address and know the last thing you ordered. Everybody is ahead of us, and Domino's and Pizza Hut can do it. We can do it too.
Well, and there are platforms that do that.
Yeah.
But it's like people are going,
out.
I don't know.
Yes, they're like, I don't know.
Or
if it works for us."
auto-scheduling.
Yeah, but what if it did? What if it worked perfectly? What if it saved tons of time
It's I think sometimes it's a control thing
and fear?
and
You
fear.
know.
Oh my gosh, what if it brings it up and
But that's not the way that we always did it.
we can't do that. That's going to shave off, 30 minutes of my time and I'll have 30 more minutes to do something else.
Yeah. The massive fear of change and fear of the unknown, especially when these are things that have been validated in other industries for years, it's just not an excuse anymore. It's just not an excuse.
Well, we're getting to that point that it's not, because it's not sustainable anymore.
No,
Like
we've got people
hiring
breaking.
an individual to greet patients,
Yeah.
like in the past you would do that, make them feel good.
Yeah.
Right? That's not sustainable.
No.
The patient needs to be able to schedule their own appointment.
Oh, do you know the practice that hate that?
Pay for them to schedule their own
Hate
appointment.
that. I will never let the patients have control of the schedule.
No, I can't do that. I want to be able to move them around. Somebody needs to talk to them first to know exactly where they need. You can put all that in an engine.
Yeah. You
And
can
they
put it in
they
there.
can click, and then they can tell you appointments.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, don't do that. Don't
I
do that.
know. I
Oh, and then
know.
let's have the patient check in. I think the best thing there is nothing good about 2020, in my opinion, except for a lot of people realize that there's technology out there that people could do, right?
Yeah. Probably
It just leaped forward. It leaped forward a lot of practices, because prior to that, they didn't want to do any external again. I mean,
the elimination of overhead of I guess the billing department actually could work remotely. I guess work-life balance does matter. There was those kind of things.
I guess the patient could check in and pay their bill online before they came into the office.
Yeah. I guess the patient could do these other
15
forms
people on our front desk anymore.
Yeah, I know. One of my children, their medical office will text when they have a bill and it says, do you want to pay via Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App? Or would you rather send a check or credit card to the office? I'm like, all the way do I want to send you an electronic done? Yeah. I'm like, done. There's my payment.
That's what's so funny, because we see that in medical, but in dental hasn't quite wrapped on yet.
In medical.
They still want to get that check from the patient, or they say, let's pay when you come in, or I'm just like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Patients are used to paying by, I just went to Disney. You knew I was going to put Disney in there somewhere. I just went to Disney and literally paid everything from my Apple Pay. I never even took my wallet.
I almost never even carry cash anymore. But in medical, I barely see electronic payments. Most of them are like, we've gone cashless, so people can pay by card. But we do still accept personal checks. I'm like, you accept personal checks, but you won't take a PayPal or a Venmo or an app. What are we doing?
What are we doing? And the AI there, that's what I think is interesting. I know that it's very hard. I can say this by joining with my 3 partners, and they're focusing on the tech side. They're literally taking my brain from a rev cycle perspective and turn it into tech, right? That's what I've always wanted. I want to make that available for everybody.
Yes. Same.
Because you and I both know.
Same.
Some of this stuff can be done by tech. But it's hard. And it was funny because Brett told me, he said, it's not because people don't want to do it. It's because it's hard and it takes a lot of time to do. So they would rather focus on the easy stuff, the things that are not important that everybody is doing. And I said, the thing about the easy stuff is that people won't adopt it. And I'm like, it's the easy stuff.
Yeah, because they're afraid of it.
From a rev cycle perspective and from a patient care perspective,
yes,
we have to be agile. We can't afford to not be. And and it's very interesting. It's kind of an interesting thing. Okay, so you and I talked a really long time before we started the podcast. Your husband's going to be my husband's already knocked on the door. It's like, are you still?
Did he? Tell him to stop it. He could fall down and get hurt.
We've been on here for an hour and 15 minutes. Can you believe that?
No, because it flew by. We could have talked for several more hours.
We will be talking many, many other times. 100%. Definitely at the leaders conference in October.
Yes.
So we will definitely be scheduling some time there. So I always like to end our podcast with some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So are you ready?
Great.
Ready? Get it on. Get it. Make those fires in the brain go. Here we go. If
right.
you weren't in healthcare, what would you be doing?
Writing mystery fiction.
For sure, for sure. And we're going to have a whole nother conversation around that. And then what's a weird or unexpected skill that you have picked up?
After I meet an administrator for maybe 1 to 2 hours, I can tell whether or not they've been embezzling.
There's a whole nother podcast we need to be talking about. We're going to be scheduling that one in a couple of weeks. Okay. What's your go-to way to de-stress?
Hugs, big hugs. I'm a big, like, hugs refill me. And my husband is a gigantic Viking bear of a man that just bear squeeze.
Awesome. Love it. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, they can be modern, they could be alive today or past, who would it be and why?
I've gotten this question so many times, and every time I get a different answer, just hoping the universe will make one of them happen. But I have to go with Judy Faulkner. She's like a woman among women. She literally was like, hey, we have a problem for the community. Nobody's doing anything about it. Is anybody going to do anything? Fine, I'll do it myself. Which, okay, like, is that not a woman to walk in and be like,
exactly, a woman does that.
this needs to be done. No one's doing it. I'm just going to do it. And
just gonna do it.
absolutely crush it and build Epic into what it is now. Like, okay, Judy, I see you. Like, well done. Absolutely. I want to pick the brain of the woman who did that. 100%.
It's really because you're not the only one that has answered that question.
Really?
That person. We're going to have to send our podcast to her.
You're
and
going to
get
have to get her on the show.
Do what?
Maybe she could do a special episode of The Hidden Pulse where it's just like coffee with Judy Faulkner and all of us can stand there and like just like stare in awe.
You know, might reach out to her and say, hey, listen, on my podcast, I have a lot of people who have named you as somebody they would like to meet.
Yeah,
And
we're
I
just
was thinking maybe I could do a group podcast. Would you be open to it? So we'll see. We'll see. We'll reach it out. You never know. I haven't met her personally.
No, me either.
I've met a lot of people in the EMR worlds and their CEOs and stuff, but for whatever reason, and I don't know why, I've not ever met her. It was really crazy because we had implemented Epic back when Epic was just getting started at a hospital system in Pennsylvania. And of all times, that should have been the time that I would have met her.
Yeah.
And I just didn't. And that was just you never really think about it. You go, because it was kind of a new system, right? A new system, and everybody's excited about it. It's not something we know much about. So we know about the medics of the Meditech and the CERN.
Meditech
and all of the PM system.
Oh, yeah.
Physician side, we know about all those, and you hear about this other system that comes out, and you're like, what is Epic?
Yeah, it was properly named. Like, she knew. She went big right away. She was like, this is going to be Epic. Wait for it.
This is
and she was absolutely right.
And not only that, because she started off in the hospital systems, didn't she? Or did she start off in the PM systems? I can't remember which one.
I don't remember. I just remember that she was very big into like, it should not be this hard for us to exchange health information. And it's a detriment to patients. Yes, that this lack of interoperability exists. And she was just not having it. And that's awesome.
She's really good because, something that you may not know, but Epic really kind of ventured into dental a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm going to say PDS, But anyway, they're a really large DSO, dental support organization out on the West Coast. And they had not been in dental. Epic has not been in dental. And they joined PDS to work on building out the dental because I personally believe, and I'm sure she does too, and so does PDS and some of the other company, that dentistry is going to be a big deal because the mouth itself
it already is. I mean, tied to so many things.
Hispanic things, that happens, heart disease and all that.
And sometimes the symptoms show up there before any.
That's right. And so, they've been working with PDS, and I think they've been on their system for almost 2 years now. And of course, it's a different billing system. It's a different thing. But at the end of the day, it's just a different claim. It's just the information goes in different places.
Well, different type 837.
Yeah, it's a little different, but they still get an 837 and 835. They still
Yeah,
get it.
837D instead of,
It's still there. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting. I was like, ECW has dental. Athena's trying to get into dental. There's these other companies, that are going out there. But Epic really said, hey, listen, I'm going to go with this. Really, I think it's like the 4th or 5th largest DSO in the United States.
Wow.
They have like I want to say they have 1,000 clinics or something.
Like I said, she was going to go Epic.
I could be wrong, and they're probably rolling their eyes at me now and be like, "Get it straight, Sissy. Get it straight."
You're going to get feedback.
Lord have mercy.
A lot of comments.
Like, get it straight, Sissy.
Yeah.
That being said, you know what? I might just have to reach out to her. She'll probably be like, "Who is this lady?"
I know.
Like, I'm sorry. People are saying they want to meet you, and I need to be a conduit.
I just need to fangirl. I'll just show up. I'll get a Judy Faulkner shirt on and fangirl the whole time. Yeah.
Now, I know we just did rapid fire, and I have to ask this. So, is Epic your system? Like, that's the system you like the most?
Everybody
has their favorite.
Everybody always asks what's my favorite system. And I typically tell them I could pick apart any of them.
None of them.
Yeah, I don't really love one over the other. And I think it really comes down to the fact that I'm a data girly. And I don't think any of them have it quite right yet. Like, if I some of the reporting that I see in Epic's analytics and a little bit of what's in EVA and ECW, but also get like the UI that's in Athena and, maybe in Advanced MD, a little bit of what they have going on in their advanced analytics. If I could take all of those, I could probably make what I think would be perfect, but I don't have a favorite one.
So in other words, you're saying the Power BI and all the different, they're still going to be around a while.
They are. So, I don't have a favorite one necessarily. I fangirl over Judy more so because she saw something that needed to be done in the industry and she did something about it. Whereas most of us in the industry, not you and I, obviously, we're out here talking constantly. We don't shut up about the revenue cycle and changes and things that can impact. And she was very much that way. She was like, this has to be fixed. Somebody needs to fix it. So she wasn't somebody who just stood there. She was like, we need to get up and we need to do something. I find that so incredibly powerful.
Yeah, because she did it on her own. Like for me, I waited for partners because I was like, I don't think I can do this by myself.
That's the reason I've never done
it. I could do this by myself,
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's pretty cool.
She is definitely #goals.
We're gonna hashtag her on the. We'll include her on the release, and then you'll be like, "Why am I on this? Oh, that's why I'm on here." Okay,
she's gonna be like, these crazy women. We're gonna get like
please don't accept the invite from these two ladies.
Yeah.
All right, Taya. I hope you have a wonderful Friday.
Thank you so much. It's been a great time.
It's been a great time. Be safe. Have a nice afternoon, and go get a big bear hug from the hubby.
Thanks. I will. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, that's a wrap of this episode with the Hidden Pulse with my guest, Taya. What a great experience to speak with another individual who cares so deeply about revenue cycle and in healthcare, patient experience and practice experiences. I hope today's conversation left you feeling inspired, a little bit relaxed, and ready to take on new challenges with a little bit of test laughter and a little bit of fun, and maybe learned a little bit more about RCM. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe at your favorite podcast, leave a review, and share it with your network. We are growing, and with your help, we will grow across the healthcare industry because every pulse and every story and every connection matters. I'm Cissy Mangrum, your host. Until next time, keep pushing forward, look for those amazing opportunities, stay curious, and never lose sight of your hidden pulse.